The Park Board meeting of April 9th to order. Consideration of the minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Presentation from Zammy Swartz on the Eagle Scout project. Go
All
ahead.
right. I am Zammy Schwartz, and I'm an Eagle Scout, or trying to get my Eagle Scout project approved for the park board. And I'm in Troop 148. My project will be building a retaining wall on the north side and adding plantings and replanting the sign. It will benefit the community and make it look better. And some materials are the blocks, Ecology Best, mulch, gravel, topsoil, plants, then paint, and then delivery. I will get support from the Master Gardeners, Troop 148 for the labor. Hopefully the city, anchor block, installations, details that are attached. I'm trying to get a grant right now that's possibly $250 from the Master Gardeners, and that I've been told is getting reviewed today, and we'll have the letter coming in to see if I got approved within the week. And there would possibly be material donations from Anchor Block or Menards, and maybe the city through gravel or topsoil. And from the Knights of Columbus, I could get transplantings from the local areas or park. And as right now, the private donations have been of $150. My schedule is retaining wall first, and then it's the plantings and paintings afterwards, all in June. And then it's going to be continued watering and maintenance throughout September, and then present results at the October board meeting. And I was wondering if I could need any permits, and then
Any city permits, did you say?
will I need any city permits to do this?
If it's a retaining wall that's higher than 6 feet and it's...
Yeah, I don't believe so, but like we talked about when we had some of our first initial meetings, one thing that you have to get prior to any excavation is we should get it called Digger's Hotline. Remember we talked about that?
Yes.
So that's pretty important. And as far as city permits, I don't believe so. And then what other, maybe it's on here, you needed some things from the city. Was it wood chips and mulch?
Possibly gravel or topsoil and mulch, maybe. Yeah, like those things.
What was that, the topsoil and what?
Topsoil mulch.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're getting the better end of the deals.
I think so.
Yeah.
What color is the block going to be?
It's gonna be like grayish. It's gonna be gray with kind of a little bit of red, maybe.
Okay. Is that consistent with what we
I
want to do?
I don't know if you've looked at the stairs that come down from that road, I guess. I mean, if we're gonna tie things together, that might be a consideration if you haven't already chosen the color. Although, I think there's a retaining wall around the east side of the pavilion also, and I don't know if that's different or
That's gray.
That's
It's the
great.
same
It's
color.
gray.
Yeah.
so maybe that's the way to go. That's closer to the,
So this is located where? Just as you come down 6th Street, right there off to the right, is it?
To the left.
Or to the left? To the left.
a little bit east of the restrooms, Prospect Park restrooms. There's a little parking area down.
Oh, okay.
So this is the sign,
This is a current sign.
Yeah.
so it's not the sign that is going to have a wall built around it?
Sam, you're proposing that the sign stays there. Basically, you're just
Yes.
building a retaining wall around it and then putting flowers and perennials.
Fixing the sign bottoms, which are covered by snow right now.
How far off of the tree is that sign?
It is about 6 feet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It looked closer, and I was thinking that you're gonna run into some major roots, but if it's 6 feet, that's probably much better.
Question maybe to Tom is, if we were going to put some money or have a project to make a better sign or appearance at Prospect Park, is this the right location?
Yeah.
That would be my question. Or do we need something up farther as you first come in off of, what is it, Wisconsin? Or?
Yeah.
There is one there.
Yeah.
Similar to this,
Yeah,
I think
looks
it's a
just
wooden
like
sign
that,
like this with some flowers around that.
It is, okay.
So this is, I think, seeing that was there, I think this is kind of to establish another entrance.
Okay.
The sign's there, but this is more of an enhancement.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, he has some good perennials. He talks about hostas, which are shady, but then black-eyed Susans tend to have a little more sun. I don't know. I'm sure you'll get all kinds of ideas
Yeah.
from the master gardeners. So anyway, consider that when you're planting. I think you'll have sun and some shade, like afternoon shade there. So, and it should be maintenance-free once you get the wood chips and things.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds like a good project to me. And I think Zammy's done a good job. We've talked, and he has it pretty well planned out. So.
Any other discussion?
Need a motion?
We do.
Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved, approved. Thank you. We're looking forward to that.
Thank you.
So we'll bring this to the council now and for their approval. And when was the start date?
June.
June?
Yeah.
I would.
And you could probably get a hold of me prior to that so we can make sure that we get the area located and everything for you.
And then I need a signature on my card. Will that be legal after the meeting?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, next item on the agenda is discuss park impact fees.
Neil's going to be here in a little bit for the water board meeting, so if we can kind of skip that. and come
Okay,
back to
we'll
that.
come back to that. Okay.
too, so.
Discussion of possible action on Hudson City Code 181.12, 181.14, and other Hudson City Code sections that relate to the city boat mooring area. Is that something, Deb, you can speak on?
Well, Tom we've
Or
kind of
Tom?
gone through it.
Okay.
I can help.
Sure. This was pretty much gone through working with the city attorney, and we have some different formats. We took the existing policies and ordinance, and we've just inserted comments and possibly removing some things and moving them from the ordinance and to just a policy section. So if you would like to go through page by page, and then if you guys have any comments, we certainly can talk about anything that the park board has.
I reviewed it, and I thought the recommendations that you had in the columns looked pretty good. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
I thought so. I didn't see, nothing
Yeah.
look glaring to my eye.
I guess I think one of the comments too is something about insurance kind of jumped out at me. And is that something we haven't been getting good documentation on from the moorers?
Yeah. She was hoping that it could run through the season, for the mooring season, but as we were looking through them, it doesn't necessarily have to be that. So she was okay with that. It's just a matter of them knowing that it has to get there when it expires, because that's, like, some of them already are expired on 3/31, and we haven't gotten that documentation yet. So we should have that prior to, and, rather than having to chase them down. So it is kind of an issue, but she feels with the language change that it'll be better, more strict, that they would have 10 business days to provide it to us once they're notified, and we're not going to notify them again and again and again and again. So,
Is there
Move
any?
to approve or adopt?
Well, I'm just wondering, is there anything else, Deb, you'd like to comment on that maybe is a little different than what we've been doing, or?
let's see.
Page 4, when I'm just, and talks about the dinghies, and at that time, we can put in the items that were recommended by the council, that it talks about size and color and locations, and where, we talked about 5 different locations along the Dike Road.
Mhm. Well, one of the more important ones is actually back on page 3, that it's been an issue with many city residents about the guidelines for the drawings. And as it states currently, City of Hudson residents are 1, Hudson School District is 2, Washington County is 3, and St. Croix County is 4, and 5 would be all others when filling vacancies. I know it's been brought up that possibly St. Croix County should come before Washington County. She's just looking for a recommendation from the park board if that needs to be changed.
Yes.
That would be presented to the council.
Yeah, that would be a good one to just switch
And you want
those
to
two.
change the priority?
Yes.
So you'd have the St. Croix County
have-
3rd and Washington County 4th?
Correct.
Let's see. And as far as all of the section that is crossed off for the vacancy, and whether we should issue temporary vacancy permits, we just feel that it's not necessary because the season is so short that it's just more paperwork and time consuming for the little bit amount of money and hassle that it is to go through. So we just kind of struck that from there. If it's something you want to keep in there,
That's on page 4.
that's on page 4 at the very bottom of the page.
Does that happen periodically?
Not very often. It's happened only a couple times, and just the few times it has, it's by the
Okay.
time you get all the paperwork out, and it's not.
Do we typically have a waiting list for moors?
Yes.
How big is it
It's
typically?
usually, right now, I believe there's 4 to 6.
I think it was 5 to 6 last year and 4 to 6 this year. that we had.
It's been up to a dozen,
Okay.
so.
So are we looking just to approve this?
Yep, with the changes, and
Okay.
then
Do we
part
need
of
to-
the recommendation
Do we need
should.
to make a motion to amend that?
Mm-hmm.
Pat?
Sure.
Motion to amend
Motion to
the
amend that, yeah.
priority.
The, changing from number 3 to
I'll change the
position
priority.
ranking of St. Croix County to 3rd and Washington County
Yep.
to 4th.
Okay.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor of the amendment and approval, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
What
forgot.
did we miss?
Well, as you can see, there's a mooring waiver, and that's going to be part of the attachment as well, to look at that.
Okay, all right. Is that going to be part of 6, or is that still on 5? The
But that can
discussion.
probably be still part of 6.
Okay, we'll move on to 6, discussion and possible action revisions
I don't
of
even know why
the
that's on.
213 boat mooring policy. So Deb, maybe you can get us up to speed on what you were just talking about.
Okay. Included with the policy, there is a boat mooring permit waiver and release of liability, assumption of risk and indemnity agreement that each moorer and co-owner will be responsible for signing. And that'll become part of the checklist of all the documents that'll be needed. So I believe the city attorney based it on some of the other waivers that are.
You need these, the parent guardian waiver, you need any of those referenced
I
for
don't think so.
the policy?
It's already in the policy under, I believe she put it in here somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. But it will be, yeah. Part of the-
So move to approve then.
Yeah, definitely. I was just kind of reviewing it quickly. Yeah, do we get a motion to approve the liability waiver?
Is there a need to have 2013? Are we going to have to look at this every year?
I don't think so. I believe we can probably remove that.
Has there ever been this waiver before, or is this
No.
new?
No,
This is new.
This is new.
All right.
it's good.
It's to assume, so that they're assuming the responsibility of stating that they're physically fit to climb up and down the embankment, and that if anything were to happen, that the city's not held responsible.
It's a good idea. I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved. Is that gentleman here for the,
Is Neil
I
here?
saw Neil once.
fees?
Bye.
All right.
Because he's got another meeting across the.
Okay, well, Tom, maybe we'll just go and do park project updates then. You want to update us on that, and then we'll come back to Neil.
So, I'm representing both on Warren and my brother, Mr. Church, and I have some questions. Is this over with all the mooring stuff now?
Well, there really wasn't,
He's coming.
was what, you wanted to comments? Go ahead.
Well, he
Well, go up to the podium and state your name, and so we know who you are.
My name is Mary Ann Berquist. I'm John Lowndes' sister, who we have this Darja sailboat at Hudson here. And my brother was unable to make it tonight, and he had some questions about placement of the rowboats, where they're going to be, and if there's going to be any platform under the boats there. And we're the first boat there. How much the Grand Duchess kind of will be infringing on the moorings there, and if locks are going to be provided.
That isn't part of tonight, that wasn't part of tonight's
Okay,
agenda items.
I didn't
Yeah,
know.
but that's okay.
He couldn't make it tonight, and these are things he threw by me to ask about. So
Have you talked to him, Tom?
John?
Yeah.
Can we talk about it? Or, I mean, we're not making
Not
any.
really. I mean, that's
I mean,
not gonna-
decisions or anything.
No.
no decisions are made on any of this
Oh,
stuff.
can I just give her what,
Yep, go ahead.
answer some of her, I'll try to answer some of your questions.
Okay.
The idea of having, like, I know I spoke with John about having some kind of structures or, like cradles or something on the dike to put the boats on. That was presented, it was talked about to the council. At this point, they did not care to have any structures on the dike. What was approved was we're going to have 5 locations where we can accommodate 10 boats. Approximately 50 feet long. I felt was too long to stretch a chain. So we're going to have 2 chains about 25 feet in length with some pipes, and we'll cement them into the riprap area, flush with some of the rocks so they're not trip hazards and things like that. And I assume that the boat owners or the mooring people will have their own chains and locks, and they can secure their boats onto there. I assume that I would like to see the about halfway up the dike, the hillside, and then you can vary the chain accordingly. If you want to keep it lower to the shore, to the
Because I
shoreline
know
if the
we
water's
have to
low.
raise it and lower it as the
They'll
water
have to
does.
then they'll have to be flipped over on the side, because the council did not approve any kind of structures on the dike. What else did you ask?
About
as far
locks,
as the,
but you already answered that question about who is providing the lot. If we're providing.
I think, yeah, the mooring people would supply their own locks.
And are all these boats, these dinghies, going to be uniform, or?
That was the other thing that'll be included in this policy, and that's part of the policy, is that all the dinghies have to be a certain size. I believe it was no more than 55 inches in width and no longer than 120 inches, 10 feet. Color was to be neutral color. I think it was white or cream color, beige. White or cream, I think they said.
Yep.
Okay. And this is all, there's, maybe there's no more cost. And when are these changes going in effect, this year or next year?
Hopefully this year.
This year.
Yep.
So we'd have to get a new dinghy this year, probably, because we had a metal one.
And as far, you talked about the courtesy dock. There is a permit submitted to the Corps of Engineers. There's going to be, the courtesy dock owner would like to do some modifications and changes to the excursion docks, and possibly add on some dock to the west. The city has received acknowledgement of that application, but we haven't received any kind of response since then. That was sent in 6 weeks ago, I'd say.
Well, we got a confirmation that they received.
So
Yeah.
that we'd maybe have to move our, where our boat is moored?
No?
No.
I don't believe so.
No, ma'am.
Okay, because we're the first boat there.
Yep, yep.
And, I have been out there, and all these boats that aren't supposed to, go in and out of the mooring.
We feel that the change of the dock may actually improve that.
Okay,
The excursion boats, if approved, are gonna, instead of being parking parallel to the shoreline, there's gonna be another a dock extension that'll point right toward the interstate bridge more south.
okay,
And so with the docks turned around, we feel that the boats can come, instead of going through your area to get around the docks, in between the shoreline and the docks to park, that they'll be able to come straight in. So we feel that it should actually improve your concerns.
okay. Thank you. Our family is very passionate about this. We were the first boat there, and my dad put the boat in the water the year I was born in '51, so I have been on that boat a long time. So.
Good.
Well, we hope you have a good season. Hope this all works out.
Thank you. Neil, Dennis, we're going to have Neil talk to us first, and then we'll come back to you, if that's okay. Yeah, he's got to be at another meeting, so.
Yes. No, I'm welcome to answer any questions. The park board had a couple questions with regard to impact fees, and between myself and Denny Darnold and Tom, we kind of tried to sort through the issues and get as much history as we can. And I think the memo that I wrote summarizes what was there. In essence, number one, it's not an impact fee. It has never gone through the whole process that is necessary to have it be an impact fee. But it is consistent with what's defined as park development fees under state statute. I think probably the big change is that, we haven't recognized the fact that in 2005 and 2007, state statute changed in terms of how those funds can be used. And I think that's one of the critical things. While we do have a needs analysis, which is, again, 11 years old, the funds now, and it was, precipitated by the state legislature in 2007, can only be used for needs, number one needs, but it's also for the acquisition and initial improvement of parks. And I think if you look at it, and a good example may be White Camp Park, where you may have a plan, but you're not going to have all the money right away. Mm-hmm. And it was our feeling that, as funds are available, what you should have is we have a need to do something at White Camp Park, and as funds are available, we're going to chip away at it. But I think the designation, was there, and that we did find that the council, when those fees were established, did separate north and south. And actually, that was a revised memo that corrected that, because before that was pointed out to us, the feeling was that when the dollar amount was calculated, if you were going to do an impact fee, for example, and they said, here are our needs north, and here's our projected growth on the north side, well, the impact fee would be based upon the projected growth. And the determination that was made for the fee was based upon total needs, so which would have led you to believe that the fees were kind of, could be interchanged. However, it was pointed out to us that, they did find that action taken by the Common Council to segregate those.
So basically what you're saying, Neil, we pretty much have to stay status quo with how we have the funds designated. If we've got it south of 94, we pretty much need to use them in those parks, or could we use it up at Prospect or Grandview?
And Prospect would be a bit of a push, because if you look at the needs assessment was based upon Grandview Park,
Okay.
and then, community and neighborhood parks south of 94.
Right.
So, I mean, if, and that's our interpretation. I mean, I'd rather have legal counsel make that interpretation, but, the best conclusion that we could reach, upon what was there is that those are the areas. So the things that are collected from north should probably be directed towards Grandview Park improvements, and everything to the south, be it White Camp Park or any of the parks there that are impacted by that new growth. Because if you look at the needs analysis, it was done, I think, based upon a projection of 2010 population. And that's where I think you see in the recommendation, I think it's time to revisit that. The whole, what's our projected growth for the future? What are our needs for the future? So I think it's time to circle back and redo that. And I think that, that would be the next step that I would recommend.
And the needs could change. I mean, like you said, maybe at that time when the assessment was done, the current needs were at White Camp Park and Grandview Park. Now that we've progressed and how many years later, maybe it's time, like Neil suggested, is we should do a needs assessment, and maybe it'll show that there's areas that we should be looking at, maybe needs some improvements. Burton Field, you know what I mean? Maybe
Sure.
that'll show
Yes,
that, but
exactly.
we should go through the process and get an established needs assessment.
Right.
Does the needs assessment have to be part of the master plan?
No.
Okay. So
No,
you
I mean,
can
it could
just
be
put
incorporated.
down-
I mean, when you
Okay.
do, the other, and I don't know when the last time it's been done, but you have a kind of 5-year park improvement plan to be eligible for DNR grants. So I think, some of it, that's getting near that time. So it may be just time to, look at parks in general, for your recreational improvement plan, because that would make you eligible for grants for, anything in the park system, but also at the same time update your needs assessment. You do those, in one effort, and then I think you're in good shape.
Seems like we did the park comp plan in 2009, or am I wrong?
Well, yeah, that's
5 years?
So you're only 1 year away.
Yeah, so maybe that'd be a good time to incorporate both into,
If you're going to go through that kind of planning effort, you might as well do them both.
that's a really good idea.
And they had the needs assessment was part of that,
Yeah.
but it was the old needs assessment.
Yeah.
So.
That's a very good idea.
So again, then, if there is a need, we may be able to use some of those funds that we thought we were
Right.
restricted
And I think
on.
the real key is, the needs should be based upon growth, and where's the growth occurring in the community? And how do you meet the recreational needs of those residents, both probably in, when you look at it on a neighborhood basis, but then some parks have more of a regional draw. So I think, and then, kind of the art is in how you set the fee and how you designate those. I think that's, you can have a little bit of leeway in that, if you designate something as a community park, maybe a portion of fees from everywhere going to Grandview Park, where in a neighborhood park that's only going to service, a specific group of people, you could do that. But that's the art of doing it.
Good. Anything else, guys? Or? Thank you, Neil.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, Neil. So that'll be an item for a future agenda.
Okay. So actually, I think, Dennis, you had some questions.
I just have a statement. My name is Dennis Kroll, and I'm representing the Mooring Association, the Hudson Bay Mooring Association. We've been asked to come together and form some kind of a more cohesive debating body, let's say, so that we aren't debating in the middle of these meetings. And we have done that. We've done a lot of debating and developed consensus on a lot of different issues since last September, when all of us started. We've attended a lot of meetings too. Anyhow, we find rather than always reacting to things that come up, we find out sometimes that something's on the agenda on a Friday afternoon for the next Monday's city council meeting. We know something's going to happen, but we don't know what, and then, until that Friday afternoon or later. And rather than always reacting to to what comes up, we sound like a bunch of crybabies. we'd like to offer and be a part of kind of a working partnership, if that's possible. We'd like to work with the city as much as possible, and in kind of more on the fact finding and maybe discussing alternatives and their impacts and that kind of thing, as some of the policy and policy kind of issues take place, or as they develop, anyhow. Another thing that we're doing, and we're available all the time. There's at least a couple of us that are that would be happy to come down and meet with anybody.
Well, with our new website that we're working on right now, you'll have the ability to get notifications. Everybody will, whoever, the whole public. So that might be beneficial for you, mooring holders. And, you know, because obviously our staff cannot get out. I mean, all we can do is put an email out there right now, and we don't know if you get it or if you don't get it, you know. So, I mean, and as far as the group meetings, you know, then you'll have access to all the agendas. So just keep that in mind.
Well, there are 5 people, 5 of us on the board right now, and if we get that information, we can disperse it to the rest of the moorers and the people that are members, and talk about the issues ahead of time, or and if there's any need to you know.
And basically,
To
Dennis,
have a meeting and that kind of thing.
It's my opinion right now, most of the issues have already been hashed over by this board. We've made our recommendations to city council, so don't want to pass the buck, but a lot of this is pretty much out of our board's hands right now. So you might be singing to the wrong choir right now. It's really probably more city council and safety.
Well,
I
might
understand
add
that.
I believe it's done there as well.
Okay, so
No, I understand that. One of the other things that we're doing in our organization is to we're planning a area pickup for sometime in May.
good.
And something like to happen on an annual basis, and think that anything that we can do to improve that area
Good.
will be good for everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Do you want a motion then to approve the
No.
policy? We've done all the amendments to it.
No, we already did.
We already did, I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't think we did the
No.
final policy. I thought
No,
we
we
did all the
did.
Yeah, we did.
amendments
We
to
did
it.
with the
Yeah, we did the
amendment.
first with the
Yeah.
eight,
We
So
did
it
already,
is-
Pat.
with
That's
number
it.
5. Yep, we're
Yeah, we
good.
did.
There, so it's a closed issue from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tom, update on parks projects?
Well, I know some of the ball teams are anxiously waiting to get on the fields, which are still partially covered with snow and very muddy, so we're waiting for drier and warmer weather for that.
Oh, real quick on ball fields, do you have any plans to do anything on the ball fields this spring as far as, add loads of dirt or not, or anything? Is there any projects lined up waiting for the weather to?
We did get approval for, at Monday night's meeting, to do some improvements on one field at Grandview Park. I think it was what we did last year. We, replaced some of the infield gravel. So I think we have $6,000 set aside for that.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about Burton Field, and at this point, we're kind of didn't receive a lot of funds for Burton Field projects.
Yep.
We did request some money for some trail work, and up at Prospect Park, we're hoping to, if we have enough money and once the bids come in, to actually put a asphalt trail up at Lookout Point at Prospect Park, and possibly put a trail from the restroom at Prospect Park up to the pavilion. It's a gravel little pathway that gets washed out every time it rains. We get a lot of comments and requests from people that are disabled or elderly that need a little better surface to walk from the lower parking lot up to the pavilion. So we're looking at doing some of that. We're going to try to submit the bids the next few days or next week for the automatic locking systems for the restroom.
What about the roof? Did that get approved? Oh, no, we pushed that out, don't we? That's right.
The other couple little projects that we have, not little, we did acquire a 14 by 20 garage from the tourist center. That's basically the only structures left, that and a little picnic shelter at that rest area center. So as soon as the ground is, the frost is gone, we're going to try to get a slab poured. Hopefully, we talked about this last meeting, we talked about the location was going to be more where they play t-ball. It's on the agenda tonight for the water utilities to see if they'll approve that we could put the little garage over on the water tower side of the trees. Tim indicated that he didn't really have a problem. We'd have to see how the water utility board, how they take it and see if they'll approve that tonight. So I just talked to some of the maintenance guys today. We have the forms ready, and as soon as we can get out there and it's not too muddy, we'll get that in place so we can get that, and that'll store like the four-wheeler and the drag and some supplies for whatever we do on infield work and some of the tools. We can get them out of the area of the restroom pavilion at Grandview.
Are we on a timetable to get that
As soon as
structure
possible.
moved?
As soon as possible, yes.
As soon as it's dry, right?
As soon as it's dry, we're putting the concrete in, and
All right.
the other structure is just a little picnic shelter that we'd like to put up at Prospect Park. Kind of when you drive into the old hospital, it would be to where the emergency door was, driveway. It's on the west end of Wisconsin Street. Right at the end of Wisconsin Street. You go straight ahead to the west, and there's a little area there. I think at one time there was a little screen shelter or something that was tore down. We just thought it'd be a good area because it's kind of where the trailhead is, and if we would make some other trails there, it might be a good spot to have a little picnic area. And I think there's a barbecue grill and things there now.
Will you pour a slab there as well, or?
I think so, yep. And we'll do that all in-house. We can do things like, with our Parks and Public Works crew, we can do all that. And actually, that's being moved by the contractor, by the owner, at no charge. There is some charge for moving the garage. So other than that, we'll probably be, we're in the process of looking at applicants for, summer help and things like that.
All the mowing plans and contracts are in place for mowing, and
Actually, we're gonna,
Are we doing it all now?
we've done the mowing in-house the last 2 seasons.
years? Okay.
We have a couple, 3 out of the 4 people that mowed last year will be back mowing. And I think we got some good people, good kids returning, and we got some, seems like we have some good applicants. And
What are they projecting for flood height? For river, have you seen anything?
I haven't looked the last few days. I haven't.
So far, so good, huh?
Yeah, but there's nothing to melt.
So, it's
yes.
better for us. I would assume that it's better for a slow melt.
I think
I would think we're-
we've had a great melt.
Yeah, we've
I
got
think
great
so.
melt.
It was cold,
Yeah.
but it was a slow melt. And,
Mm-hmm.
it still depends on what happens down south. Sure. Because they can block it all off.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing that might impact Lakefront Park is that we're looking at repairing a pretty large stormwater structure that comes down Cooley Road. When it gets to First Street, it actually 45s and it goes behind the Buckeye Garage.
Yep.
That's in very poor condition, and we're going to do some inspection as soon as it dries up, the spring rains, and the flooding kind of goes down. So as soon as that's done. We're gonna do an inspection with the city engineers and hopefully come up with, I think there's gonna be some pretty large pipes that need to be replaced behind that.
Tom, you mentioned, I think a couple meetings ago about with the new construction on the bridge that they were looking at as places. Is there anything developed on that they were going to, looking for a spot to unload?
Yeah, I haven't heard back. I have not heard. That would have been interesting, but if I hear anything, I'll certainly let you know.
Okay.
The other thing that was approved that I believe that the courtesy dock lease agreement went up considerably, that 40% of the money, the increase from that fee was going to go back into the parks.
I
Good.
didn't really hear. I thought it was parking.
Parks.
Oh,
Good.
I think it's parking and parks.
I may be
I
stand
don't-
corrected on that, but I
well,
thought it was
they had it
parks.
last night, wasn't
I
it?
think it's parking and parks.
Parking and parks is
40% went to parking, and then
No,
Maybe
30.
I-
I think it was 30.
I
The
forget.
max.
Well,
is
maybe
30.
I better retract that.
What
I don't
was
remember exactly,
the
but-
fee roughly?
It's actually in the it'll be in the minutes, but I believe
Well, it
they can
went-
only do the max, and I thought it was 30%.
What is the new lease?
Yeah,
5,000.
5,000 a year
Okay.
from
It was
1,200,
1,100.
Okay.
1,200 or 1,100.
Okay.
So,
So it's a pretty sizable
Sure.
increase, but, the other thing that, we did talk about was some, improvements for the dike road, that it gets traveled, a lot of foot traffic. And if you've been out there, lately, is the concrete sections or slabs are in very good condition, but there's some very large gaps, that need to be filled in or leveled off somehow. And talking with some of the maintenance, the street maintenance contractors, they have some products that they use for airports and airport runways and things like that, that is hard enough yet flexible enough that would span that gap, and then we put another product over that. So the council approved some improvements for the dike road to try to get some of that, so it's a better walking service also.
Do we still have any concerns about that bridge?
That was discussed a little bit too, that I think I believe they passed some monies to be set aside for some underwater inspections,
It's like $10,000.
$10,000. And then I think they approved some monies for
The riprap?
some riprap along, I know there's a pretty bad washout right where the excursion boat ramp is, and then they're supposed to, the Bonastro engineering firm did inspection a few years back, and they recommended that there was some riprap improvements around the dike itself. So, the bridge itself.
Anything else? Got any other comments or things you need to know from Tom on projects?
Concerts in the park should be wrapping up and have a schedule next month.
Good. Okay.
That's
Any
good.
next item? Any items for future agendas you guys need included?
Just the needs assessment, we should probably start looking at that.
Yeah, we should probably get that on next.
And then
next
we
meeting.
talked about meeting possibly at White Camp Park and looking at the master plan, and we kind of talked about maybe meeting on site at May. but-
Well, if we do it next month, then the weather definitely be better. So maybe we should
you
plan
guarantee
on
it?
I think we have
Yeah,
to.
the only thing, it's just a recommendation to meet here first, that's so that we can
That's
get,
fine.
and then go out
And
so that the
adjourn
public
to
doesn't
White
have
Camp.
to.
Let's do
Yep.
that.
I was going to say, our illustrious village president in North Hudson, I think, did personal inspection of that sewer line from behind where it comes out there on Picnic Point, all the way up to the manhole cover in front of the Dairy Mart, or the Dairy Queen there back in about probably 1960 or 62.
Actually, I don't know who you're talking about.
Stanley.
Oh,
I've heard a lot of people that did that,
Yeah.
but actually there was something we have to address is that, there was actually a
Almost.
teenage boy last year that went from the shoreline and ended up by the Indian teepee there, and strong enough to push the manhole cover up, and then he got out. But it's I don't know if it's 60-inch pipe, 48-inch pipe, so you can get through it pretty good, but it's had to be very dark up there, and he made it through there. So any improvements, we're going to try to have a grate, so it's, you know, they don't have access to that. So that'll be some of the improvements that'll be
Okay.
there. So.
Okay. Any other items for future agendas before
Just for one notice, if I could, just as a little advertisement for the Arbor Day celebration. We'll be at Prospect Park this year, rain or shine. We've had 3 of them, and it's rained every time. So we're hoping for a better day, and it's April 27th.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to have some type of celebration up there. So.
Good.
And then also there is an election of officers that will be next month since we have a change of officers, I mean, or whatever,
Okay.
it's up for election. So.
Sounds good. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Favor say aye.
Aye.
So moved, adjourned.